Hello and welcome back to What If Weekly, your Marvel Studios news roundup. We're back to cover updates from She-Hulk, Wakanda Forever, Avengers Secret Wars, and Marvel's new special presentation for the Halloween season, Werewolf By Night. I'm your host, the spooky scary skeleton of Encyclopedia, so let's get into it. First up, we look to Wakanda, with the new trailer having dropped at the same time as our first episode. This time we get more insight than ever before into the central conflict of the film, non-Wakandans seeking the power of vibranium, with the death of King T'Challa and his wake being mirrored in the apparent coronation of Namor as the new god king of his people, a level of respect that M'Baku thinks will be a problem if they go against him. We get some footage of an Atlantean attack on the Golden City of Wakanda, as water torrents through the streets and families are uprooted, while Namor floats above it all held aloft by his flappy little foot wings. We see Ramonda looking out the window of the throne room with Namor reflected in the glass, and later that same window cracked with water pouring through. So the Queen Regent's fate is truly in the balance. We get a look at Riri Williams suiting up as Ironheart, her heads-up display clearly an evolution of that of Tony Stark. We also see our first clear look at a Black Panther suit, this one much more heavily adorned than T'Challa's costume, including the facial dots we saw Shuri wear during the final battle of Black Panther. Whether this apparent Shuri Black Panther is the only one we see in the movie is still very much up for debate. After all, the question of who can protect Wakanda after the loss of T'Challa is a very intriguing one, and we've got plenty of candidates. Nakia, M'Baku, even Ramonda, the Queen Regent. Next, we have some news on Avengers Secret Wars. The final film of the multiverse saga has finally found its writer in Michael Waldron. The creator and writer of Loki, and writer of this year's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, continues his partnership with Marvel, and will collaborate with Jeff Loveness, the recently attached writer of Secret Wars' partner film, Avengers Kang Dynasty, to allow continuity between the Avengers films. There is no director currently on board for Secret Wars, but Kang Dynasty's Destin Daniel Cretton is not expected to be in the running. In fact, before the announcement of Matt Shakman as Fantastic Four's director at this year's D23, it was rumoured that Marvel were looking for someone to helm both Fantastic Four and Secret Wars. The 2015 Secret Wars run, which the Multiverse saga has already taken clear inspiration from, featured both Doctor Doom and Reed Richards quite heavily, so I would not be surprised to see a lot of connections between the two films. Now we make our way back to LA for the penultimate episode of She-Hulk, and finally the first proper appearance of Daredevil in the MCU. After his appearance in last year's Spider-Man No Way Home, people have been begging to see and know more about Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, and whether the Netflix Daredevil show is canon or not to the MCU. Unfortunately, as far as canon is concerned, his appearance in She-Hulk only has some clues for us. Despite a much more acrobatic and jovial turn this time around, they cleverly tailored all of his dialogue to both allude to Matt having a past and being an established hero and lawyer in Hell's Kitchen, while not actively confirming or denying any events from the show. We get to hear a new Daredevil sting, but when explaining who he is to a beleaguered Jen, we do hear a little of the opening of Netflix's Daredevil, which, much like the use of X-Men 97's theme in Ms. Marvel, clues the audience in without really tying itself to any continuity. This episode also had a fun conversation about goons versus henchmen, which I love, mostly because henchmen have been an aspect of the comics sorely lacking in the MCU, as most large organizations have been quickly dismantled. Finally, let's get to Werewolf by Night, Marvel's Halloween outing. Michael Giacchino, the acclaimed composer behind everything from this year's The Batman, the score of the Homecoming trilogy, Doctor Strange, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek films, The Incredibles, the list goes on and on. This time, however, he not only tackles the score but takes the director's chair in this throwback to classic horrors like Frankenstein and the Wolfman, and does so with aplomb. His use of black and white and period features with practical effects used wherever possible really emphasize his love for the art form and make this a very easy recommendation for horror lovers and MCU fans alike. Werewolf by Night introduces us to a dark, hidden underbelly of the MCU, a world where vampires and werewolves and other beasts exist in the shadows and have been secretly hunted by an order led by the Bloodstone family. It easily establishes a world where, alongside the heroics of the Avengers, we will see Jack, Elsa, and others like Blade take on more supernatural threats. For more detailed thoughts, I have a longer review of Werewolf by Night coming up. But that's all the time we've got for this episode of What If Weekly. What was your favourite part of everything that's come out this week? Tell me in the comments below and leave a like while you're there. Subscribe for more news every Monday. I've been Encyclopedia, and until next time, stay strong, true believers.